selection of French door refrigerators anywhere with one stop at Fred's Appliance.
Fred's knows your refrigerator is the most important appliance in your house, and that one size doesn't fit all.
Need to finance? No problem. Pay no interest if paid in full in 12 months at Fred's Appliance.
Save up to $750 on select Samsung French door refrigerators.
Fred's Appliance, 93 South, 5 minutes south of Brooks and Reserve.
Fred's Appliance. We sell appliances. Only appliances.
Hey, boys and girls, Ryan Tutel and Colton Nuanez here, and hope you know by now that Grizz Greats, the Coaching Tree podcast series, is out and available wherever you get your podcasts. Interviews with every single one of the living University of Montana head men's basketball coaches. We are releasing week by week, and this week, Colton, one of our favorites, Blaine Taylor.
Native son of the Garden City, a star basketball player at Missoula Hellgate, a star in his own right for the Montana Grizzlies as a player and the head coach for the duration, or almost the duration, of the 1990s. Blaine Taylor definitely one of the most well-liked and memorable members of this epic coaching tree.
Just search Grizz Greats wherever you get your podcasts and listen to all 3 episodes that are out now with the first 3 coaches and the bonus episodes accompanying them, and now episode 4 with Blaine Taylor. Grizz Greats, the Coaching Tree podcast, is brought to us by Blackfoot Communications, the company that connects you more, the Bryan Brothers and Mike Nugent at Berkshire Hathaway Real Estate, and Stockman's Bar, proud supporters of Montana basketball for 50 years.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. It's 4 o'clock. Welcome to Tutel and Nuanez, Montana's only statewide sports talk show. Touchdown! Broadcast on 102.9 ESPN Radio for Western Montana and across the state on SWX Television.
I like football!
Now, sports talk from Montana for Montana. Live from the Kurtz Polaris studio, here is Ryan Tutel and Colter Nuanez.
Hello, Montana. The Grizzlies beat Eastern. A cheerleader gets to heave ho. And Montana State also on top of Idaho. It is Tutel and Nuanez on a Friday afternoon. Great to be with you across the state of Montana on SWX Montana Television and across Western Montana on ESPN Radio. Hope you are having a wonderful day. Thanks for letting us escort you down the aisle into your weekend. Let's take a look at what we got today in the show. Plenty to get to. Montana, 92-82 win last night over Eastern Washington in a exciting, emotional, high-energy chop fest. 55 or 56 total fouls, 6 technical fouls, even an ejection. How about that? So we will get into that with a very special guest who we'll get to in a moment. We also have Lucy Child, a senior from Bozeman High School. She's our Mattress Firm Student of the Weekend, if I may say so, a future president of the United States. She is awesome to talk to, so we will get to her here in a little bit. Top of the hour, Dante Olson, your Buck Buchanan award-winning linebacker from the University of Montana, is officially headed to the NFL Combine. Got the invite, one of 44 linebackers, 336, I think, total players going to the Combine in Indianapolis. So he will be amongst that group. So that's a big feather in the cap. I mean, that's a big deal to be there doing it in Indy in front of everybody. I hope he finds just, one of those tight-fitting, dry-fit outfits that works for him. You know what I mean? Thinking about like a hot pink-black combo, something like that. I think he'll look good in it.
I think this one has a distinctly different feel than a lot of FCS guys going to the Combine, too, because I think there's been several FCS guys invited to the Combine. I think it comes with a feeling of apprehension because there's just this assumption. Like when Cooper Kupp was going, everybody's just like, well, he's just going to run slow and he's going to kill his own draft stock. And he didn't. But to me, I think Dante Olson's going to go to this thing and blow the doors off the thing.
Yeah.
And I think that it's going to be, as many people know about him right now, when this thing's over, everybody's going to know about it.
Yeah, we'll take a look at what the sort of early prognostication is from NFL.com. They do the write-ups and stuff on this. I think, I don't know. It's interesting. So we'll get to that. And also, it's Friday. the chick who doesn't know sports, we're going to do that as well. If you want to call 329-1899, the phone number, all guests join us via the Rankage Brothers RV phone line. If it's easy for you, if you're still at work and you need to dodge the boss, go online, 1029ESPN.com. You listen to the stream at the website. It's available all the time thanks to Opportunity Bank, your local bank, your opportunity. Now, we do this every Friday around here, and we're going to certainly do it today. Take a quick moment to just get ourselves right for the weekend. It's our Florence Coffee Company coffee break. Normally, coffee, maybe a morning thing, not on a Friday. You can stay up late, you can sleep in, get yourself juiced up, start your weekend the right way. Go to a Florence Coffee Company kiosk right now. I got myself, about 100 shots in this cup. I feel very good right now.
You have 100 shots.
Oh, man.
Twice the shots, half the flavor. That's the Guest Who Tell special.
You don't want it too sweet. I'm sweet enough already, I believe, was the line from Snatch, if I got that right.
God, what did you say to the girls at the spa? Please use my picture because I'm already gorgeous they wanted to use exploit me.
Well, not surprisingly, they wanted to use my photo from the facial that I got, which we'll talk about a little bit later, on some of their marketing material, which – I mean, it seems obvious. I didn't write like a rider into that. I should have had some sort of royalty clause at the end of that because, I mean, the business is going to be stacked up for months now that they see me in there. So, anyway, get yourself some Florence Coffee Company. The kiosks are everywhere, all over the state, especially Western Montana. Get in there and have a nice weekend. We are happy now in studio to welcome in our buddy who is also does some color commentary on SWX for men's hoops and happened to play a little bit. Bobby Moorhead, former Montana Grizzly men's basketball player, 4-year starter for the Grizz, and now a proud apprenticing coffee roaster in this town as well. Hello, Bobby. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Well,
good to be back.
We're happy to have you in here, dude. This is fun. Fun to have you in studio here and to talk a little bit of hoops, man. This is
Absolutely.
good.
Before we get him to start analyzing on it, we got to have him give him a life update. I'm sitting here looking at him. He's got a wedding ring.
Look at this guy. It's a done deal. Congratulations.
Amazing how much your life can change in a year, right? I think you were on the ESPN Roundtable, which was our first ESPN Roundtable.
Yeah, you
about a year ago today, and now here you are, and you're married. You're on TV. You got a wedding ring on. I mean, tell people about the life update.
Yeah, man. Lots happened for me since last basketball season. Obviously, graduated. Got married in August, pretty soon after graduation. Got engaged right before a game last year. I'm sure a lot of people saw that in the newspaper. That was actually a pretty scary day because I was really worried that if we lost, that was going to be a rough day. You know, and that sounds bad, but like I did my best. The only people in the team who knew were Jamar and Mike before the game because I didn't want it to get out and distract anybody before a game. And if we lost, I just didn't want to deal with it.
Was there any way that was going to shift? You're like, this happens if we win, but if we don't win, I'm waiting for it. Which game was it?
It was Weber State. So
okay.
It was a big game at home.
Yeah.
And I just planned it for that morning, and I don't really know why. But, I wouldn't say it was a distraction for me, but it probably wasn't the best idea. Like in hindsight, because if we would have lost, I would have been upset, and it would have been obviously still one of the best days of my life. But,
sure.
You
wanted it all to be right on the day, right?
Yeah.
Well, pretty clearly, I mean, this has all gone well for you, and it all started at the roundtable on this show. So, I mean, that's obviously the catalyst for the whole thing.
Absolutely.
So there you go.
Yeah, anyways, got married in August. We decided to stay in Missoula, and I have long-term goals. I'd like to open a coffee roaster. So if any investors are listening on the show here tonight,
well,
I'd love some help.
If you're looking for some cash, you got the two right guys right here, Coulter and me. We're deep, buddy. We're looking for anywhere, any sort of hedge funds to get this, cover our taxes.
Absolutely, love to hear it. Yeah, but
that's awesome, though, man.
Wasn't ready to go back to the Seattle area yet.
Yeah.
It's just got really used to the pace of life here. Just relaxed. Started to really get some awesome friendships, and so we're sticking around for a little while. My wife is not as big of a fan of Missoula as I am, so.
What?
We'll see how long we last here. She's a big family girl, so.
Well, maybe we get her on the show and she feels even better about it.
I like it.
We'll see how that goes.
Let's do that. Yeah.
Bobby, let's talk a little bit of basketball. Sure. You were calling the game last night on SWX television, and so interesting to me because the history of the Grizzlies in Eastern Washington has been such a good one in recent years. Obviously, you're on a team that played Eastern for the right to go to the big dance 2 consecutive years. You end up winning both of those contests. But Eastern has traditionally been a very good basketball team, has had some of the best talent in the conference. And the last 2 years, they have been the next best team, ultimately, in the Big Sky. when you were playing in a regular season game against them, you knew it was going to be a little different from many of the rest of the games you were going to play during a regular season, right?
No question.
So how do you what is that like? What's that week maybe of preparation or those few days of preparation when you know, hey, it's Eastern that's coming up now?
Yeah, I mean, tensions are just high. You know, coaches are on edge. But again, coaches are on edge for every game. You know?
Not Travis. I mean, Travis is.
Yeah.
Travis is.
I mean,
you're barely woken up. You know,
that's their job. They got to be on edge, and,
Yeah.
and I totally get it. But yeah, Eastern for some reason always gave us fits. You know, I think the last couple of years until this team was the one that finally swept them. But I don't think we did that. I don't know if we did that any of the times that I was here.
Two losses in a row in
Right.
Cheney until this year, but you guys got them back at home each of the last 2 times and then got them in the tournament.
championship. Yeah, and so they've always given us a lot of problems. And honestly, it was probably smart for them not to gain a big lead, because they blew it twice against us in the championship of the Big Sky tournament. But yeah, I don't know what it is. I think Coach Leggins does a really good job. I was saying on TV last night, is he just hypes his guys. He's the ultimate players coach, and I think that shows in a lot of ways. But that's kind of a risky thing in a way because guys can be out of control. But you can see his animation on the court, and I think the players really want to play for him. And I think for him, this is a huge game. Montana Grizzlies been at the top for a long time in this conference.
Yeah.
And it's looking like it's hopefully going to stay that way. But it's a game that everybody can just get hyped for, and usually there's something big on the line. Last night, first place. Obviously, last 2 years in Boise and in Reno, chance to go to NCAA tournaments on the line. So, when you consistently are playing these teams in those big games, it just adds something different to the game.
I want to ask you about the chances of it boiling over because we saw it a little bit last night. But first, I want to ask you just about the analysis of Shante Leggins because I think this is a fascinating one. Shante puts on a show from the opening tip to the closing buzzer. I think there's a lot of coaches around the country that are very intense. Travis DeCuire is definitely very intense, but I think that there's different identities in the way that you go about it. But to me, I think that one of the brilliant parts about Shante Leggins is when he's in Missoula, my phone blows up from all sorts of Grizz people saying, what's wrong with this coach? This guy's going crazy. This guy's got to sit down. This guy's got to stop grandstanding.
Yeah.
But I think that that's a part of the shtick. There's a lot of coaches in the Big Sky that yell down their guys' throats, and I think that it doesn't go that well sometimes. Sure. I think that they're distracting to their players. I think what people got to understand when they watch Shante Leggins is he's trying to distract all of the attention in the entire game away from his players to make them be ultimately confident. And I think that's what you see with Eastern. When they're playing, he's hardly coaching because that's their style, especially on offense. Just get into it, isolate, go. And they had that 20-4 run last night where that's what they were doing. And it's when they get into the structure and the half-court stuff that they're actually not as good. But I just think that Shante Leggins gets a little bit of a bad rep when he's on the road sometimes because I think people don't understand the tactic. There's screaming at your players, and then there's grandstanding to make sure that your players feel no pressure at all. I think that's what you're talking about, right? Is the fact that he's a player coach.
Yeah, I mean, he's just hyping up his players the whole time. You know,
right.
Like he's yelling at them, but he's giving them the hardest high fives of their lives. Like I still remember in Boise, we're getting ready for our tournament, and Travis is quiet in another room, and then we walk out in the hallway, and Leggins is just like pounding the wall and just getting everybody hyped. And and so to an extent, that's super awesome for these players. But then again, when your coach is instilling all that confidence, it's easy to get out of control. So I think a little bit opposite, and it can be good and it can be bad. So I think being a coach is a difficult thing. Obviously, we all know that. But and I think he does a really good job of it. I think his players love him. Like I think he's an awesome guy. Like he talked to me after the game, and he was super nice, even after they just lost, and was asking me how life was, and so I really respect him. I think he does a really good job. Yeah,
well, Coulter and I have had Shante on this show many times, talked to him many times in person, and we both think very highly of him as a guy. He's a young coach too. This is only his third year, but I love the way that he goes about it in general. He's true to who he is, and again, I think that people who are put off by it or whatever, like there's a reflection on who you're rooting for, and that's fine. Like, of course, you always hate the opposing coach, team, whatever, finding reasons to dislike certain guys for whatever it is, and that's fine. Like that's sports, man.
Well, and I think that's what I want to get into about this game because usually I'm the guy that thinks that officiating is just a part of the action, and that when people are talking about we should have video replay for balls and strikes in baseball, get out of here. That's a human element of the game. Let's take it for what it's worth. But sometimes in this league and a lot of leagues, the refs lose complete control of the game. And I thought that you mentioned sometimes it can boil over for Eastern Washington, but to me, so much of that falls upon the officials. Shante he told me this after the game. He said, at one point, it was so out of control, I was trying to get a technical to try to inspire my guys, and they wouldn't even give me one. He had to go onto the court and start taking off his tie to get a tee, and he didn't actually get it until the 13 seconds left in the game, and at that point, it's just a wash. And he even said that on the record with us. He said, I feel regrettable that the way that the game ended was me getting a technical. That's not what I want to show my guys, but I was actually trying to get it about 10 minutes earlier. But then you talk about the boiling over, too. This is the thing that drives me crazy. And I want to get a little bit of the analysis of the actual officiating, not the way that they do it, but the way that the refs are chosen. Because the Big Sky moved into the Western Officiating Consortium about 3, maybe 4 years ago. And I think everybody in the league thought that was going to raise the level of officiating in the league.
That's Pac-12 refs, too, right?
Right.
It's everybody. So Pac-12, Big Mountain West, and Big Sky.
All the big conferences.
Yeah. So here's what's happened, though, is it gives the Big Sky access to refs that might ref in the Pac-12, certainly. But it's not guaranteed that those guys are going to be in the Pac-12 because the way that it works is the schedule comes out each week, and the guys with the most experience get to claim their games first. And so on a Thursday night, in the West, pretty much everybody's playing on Thursday, right? The Big Sky's playing the Big West, the WCC, the Mountain West, the Pac-12. So you got Oregon State going over here, Washington State over here. Those veteran guys, especially if they're from those areas, boom, they're claiming those games. And so then all of a sudden it matriculates down. But to me, it's not necessarily the quality of the refs, because the crew last night is a pretty consistent Mountain West and sometimes gets Pac-12 games. So they know what they're doing in terms of the actual enforcement of the rules of basketball. They don't know what they're doing reffing in Dahlberg Arena, and they don't know what they're doing in terms of the players. And that's the thing that drives me crazy. It's this sick irony where going away from having crews that are exclusively in the Big Sky, they don't know the personnel. If you just had Big Sky refs, they might not be guys that had the acumen to really to call Pac-12 games, but they would know Saeed Pridgett and Kim Aiken have a rivalry. They would know that Travis DeCuire and Shante Leggins are going to grandstand a little bit, and this is just the way it goes. They would be able to handle the personalities within the game, and that's the thing that just drives me wild.
Tutel Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Bobby Moorhead, guest in studio with us for the first part of the show today. Very good of him to come by, talk some hoop. Here's my question, though. There was a ton of fouls, 55 total fouls, 6 technical fouls, a couple of technical fouls that just didn't need to be called, slapping the backboard after a dunk. I mean, that is not good. But in any case, I didn't feel like this game boiled over. I thought this was a high emotional game that was a lot of fun. Nobody got into any fights. There's a couple of moments of coming together. Okay, big deal. Okay, Kim Aiken is in the corner and a cheerleader pushes him and gets ejected out of the game, which I didn't even see the ejection happen. That was very subtle for an ejection of a fan
and then
or
they actually
a
threw
cheerleader.
out the wrong person because they thought it was the male cheerleader. The male cheerleader has to leave the area.
Right.
But in fact, it was actually a
female cheerleader.
Which in itself is hilarious since Kim Aiken is like the big bad enforcer of the Big Sky and a little 5'0", 90-pound girl sent him flying.
You can't probably be putting your hands, whoever you are, on any of the players. Okay, we want to make sure that barrier is set. So I got no problem with that. But I thought it was a great emotional game between two good teams. I didn't think it was more than that.
I agree with your premise, but here's what I'm talking about with the game not being in control. It was incredibly clunky. There was no flow. Basketball is a game of runs. There was only 2 true runs in that entire game. 10-2 by the Grizz to open the game and 20-4 by Eastern to close the first half. Other than that, clunky. There was no ability to really find any flow, and I think that it killed both teams because Eastern Washington, they got to have transition flow. Every time there's a stoppage, it kills their style. Montana, I think that probably they're like Travis DeCuire always says, your greatest strength's your greatest weakness, right? Montana plays with an incredible amount of emotion. When the emotion, though, when Timmy Falls is having to keep his head, you really have to keep yourself in check, and it makes the flow not go that well for the Grizz either. So I thought that was the part that just drove me crazy.
What did you think?
Yeah, I just think it sets a soft precedent at the beginning. They're just calling all these things. Nobody can really get, like you said, to the flow of the game. And I don't think it boiled over emotional. Every game against Eastern Washington is emotional. Every game against Montana State's emotional. So I don't think that it was over-emotional or I thought it might have been under-emotional just due to the fact that the refs were calling so much. Like like even last night on TV, it was hard for us to figure things to talk about. They went to the monitor so much, it's just a slow. And so for a game where the Big Sky, championship is potentially on the line, like for that to happen is, it's just not fun for the fans. It's not fun for the players. But, it's something me and Michael Guinea were just talking about the other day. It seems to be a common thing on the West Coast. And I don't know in general if that's true or not. But, when we went over to Pitt and Penn State, we were allowed to play physical basketball. And at certain times, and in Michigan in the Big Sky, or in the NCAA tournament, they were letting a lot of stuff go. Guys are hacking you. And for me, I like that. I like playing physical basketball. But, in the Big Sky, you chest a guy up and you get called for a foul. And then next possession, you're, trying to keep the ball in the paint and you get called for a foul. And so I don't know what the deal is, but that seems to be a trend over here on the West Coast. I watch UW basketball on Pac-12, and it seems to be kind of the same story. But then you watch a game on the East Coast where there's a lot of people watching, and I'm sure that has something to do with it. A lot of viewership and a lot of people really interested in the game, but that seems to be a common thing.
Well, and doesn't the Big Ten too, right? It gets this reputation of just a bunch of big physical guys, and somehow there's just a level of almost expectation that running into each other is just sort of par for the course.
Yeah.
And this is what it's going to be, whereas on the West Coast, the Pac-12 is, I don't know that it's been quote-unquote a lot more athletic, but it seemed like it's been a more up-and-down style of basketball.
Yeah.
And
it's
maybe,
just more guard-oriented out west, I think, across the board, right?
And so then, you get accustomed to looking at that, and then all of a sudden things that don't look like fouls at all in, Madison, Wisconsin look like fouls in Los Angeles, California. I don't know.
I also wonder, I've wondered this for a long time, too. I just wonder if these guys just don't have as much experience officiating true big guys, because there really is a lack of true big guys from the Pac-12 all the way down. And Jamar Coach talked to us about this all the time. Jamar just he was almost impossible to officiate in this league. That had nothing to do with it had nothing to do with him. It had to do with their inability to officiate him.
Right.
So he was either getting hammered or getting calls or getting soft calls. Either way, it just seems like there's not a lot of consistency.
Guys had to flop to guard Jamar.
Yeah.
Right.
Specifically, Sam Newman from Penn State. I don't want to call anybody out.
No,
he was a good competitor.
Sam Newman's come on the show and talked all about this.
But, the guy would Jamar would turn and the guy would just drop left and right, and the refs would give it to him, right? And so I think the new rule this year is kind of a good one in that case, but the new flopping rule. But
specifically last night, again, 92-82 the final. This is a 2-point game with 36 seconds left to go in it. Eastern Washington had come all the way back yet again. They were down double digits in the first half, had the lead then ultimately at the break. We're down double digits again in the second half, cut it to 2 with a half a minute just over to play. But Montana, basically from the free throw line, able to extend the thing back out and win by 10, as it turns out. Saeed Pridgett, 24, 8, and 4 last night. Kendall Manuel, an outstanding performance, 18, 4, and 4, and a stretch where he scored 7 consecutive points for the Grizzlies, two threes, one of which he was fouled on. That was probably the biggest roar of the night on his 4-point play. So he has his own 7-0 run in a moment where Eastern had really come back and made a run, and he stretched it back out offensively for the Grizzlies. Eastern Washington, Jacob Davidson, 34 last night, was feeling. There's good players on Eastern Washington. So who are you going to take away? Who are you going to try and deal with? I think it starts and stops with Mason Peatling, but Jacob Davidson became the guy that I guess Montana was willing to endure last night. Is that what you saw?
Yeah, I think that's kind of been the story the last couple games. Harold Frey goes off for 39, but the Grizz still win by 15. I think Travis is willing to allow that to happen and still get the win. I think the difference was, Davidson was driving last night, and he had a phenomenal game, but he wasn't looking to pass very often at all. Whereas Saeed Pridgett would drive, and 2 guys would collapse at him, same way as our defense would collapse on Davidson, but Davidson would throw it up, whereas Saeed would find a drop-off, and we'd get to the free throw line. So it's just a difference in that, And it was, Davidson was phenomenal last night. Saeed Pridgett was phenomenal, and I think it's something you have to be willing to live with to, and get the win.
Bobby Moorhead in studio with us, by the way, former Grizzly basketball player. You should know this still. It was just a year ago for 4 years, people. Happy to have him in here.
2 points there, too. First of all, like Travis DeCuire said after the game, Eastern Washington wins not because of Jacob Davidson's 18 points per game or Mason Peatling's 16 points per game. It's when the Rouse kid and Jack Perry and Ellis Magnuson, when those 3 guys combine to hit 9 threes because you're getting so much attention on those other guys and they're just shooting wide open shots, that's where Eastern beats you. They're going to hit 8 to 10 threes because of their star players. It's when the other guys hit 8 to 10 threes, then all of a sudden you're giving up 95 and you're done. The Kendall Manuel point you made, though, I think this is a huge turning point for Kendall Manuel the last couple weeks as an individual, as well as with this Grizz team. There's been times in Kendall's career where when he's not making shots, he loses it on the defensive end too. Travis said after the game, he stayed with it defensively, so we stayed with him, and his teammates continued to have confidence for him. The loudest roar came because Travis called a timeout and drew up a play for Kendall, and he comes off the pick, drills the three, gets fouled. Travis gives his biggest fist pump of the night. But I just think it was great mental resilience by Kendall because, Manuel missed 6 of his first 7 shots, and then he didn't miss a shot after that, and he ended up hitting 3 threes in a row, and he scored, I think, 16 of his 18 points after the cold streak, and his ability to stay in it mentally, I think that's a huge turning point for him, and that's going to be so big for Montana down the stretch.
Bobby, as a shooter in college basketball, where there are a lot of set plays that can be run up, or at least plays in sets in the flow of a game, Coach DeCuire said repeatedly going into Eastern, though, Eastern's a sort of defense where you just got to keep making the next right play, and we don't know necessarily who the guy is who's going to shoot the ball. Yeah. So you have to be aware of the situation at all times and know whether this is a good spot to pull it or a good spot to pass it or do whatever you need to do. Well, my question to you is there a difference for you as a shooter when you are playing basketball and looking for a spot and trying to make that sort of instantaneous choice about whether to shoot it or not, and it's not even a choice, it's just a feel and instinct, as opposed to a play out of a timeout that says, Bobby, you're coming off this screen, you're going to get the pass, and you are going to shoot the ball right here, right now, period. And you just know, okay, I'm getting a look, I'm going to go take this shot. Is there a difference in confidence or something like that?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a confidence booster. For Kendall, for Travis to call a timeout when Kendall hadn't been shooting well, to come out and bang a big 3 to get the crowd going, that's huge for Kendall. He's like, okay, my coach believes in me right now. I'm going to go knock this one down. I still remember my freshman year, we're playing Weber State in the Big Sky Championship, and we were down 3 with like a minute left, and Trav called the play for me, and I was a freshman. I was kind of rattled in the timeout, but I hit the 3 and we tied it, and that was like a huge confidence builder for me.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, we're going to go to a true freshman here, and so for Travis, he knows what he's doing there. He's like, Kendall's going to keep shooting the ball. We know that, so might as well give him some confidence while he's going to shoot those, and it worked. And I think Kendall's been extremely tough that way this year. He obviously didn't shoot very well at all for probably
the
8
first
or 9,
for the
10, 11 games.
Really. Yeah.
He didn't shoot very well. And part of that's probably the deeper three-point line, different things. But eventually the numbers catch up, and some guys shut down shooting, like my sophomore year, I shot really bad, and I never really picked it up for the whole year. And so that's a toughness that I didn't have that year that Kendall's shown to have. And so that's been awesome to see for the Grizzlies. It's been huge.
One last point, because I know we got to get out.
Yeah.
But Bobby will be staying with us for the next break, so stay tuned for that as well. But
we might just lock this thing from the outside. Not going to go anywhere. I don't know.
You and I actually did our post game, with the exception of Coach DeCuire, separate last night.
Yes.
We were getting a couple different guys, and I talked to Saeed Pridgett, and you were talking to Mac Anderson. But I thought the one thing that was really interesting is another, I think, indicative turning point for this team as they continue to get better, and honestly, I think surprise a lot of people around the league. Not me. I picked them to win the league. I will continue to remind people that. But
good, Coulter.
Saeed said, I thought this was interesting, though. He said Montana was in this, they were about to break it open. It was about a 5-point game, and Travis called that timeout. And Saeed said he actually drew the play up for Pridgett, and they were going to run some stuff off of Pridgett because Eastern was trapping him, and Saeed told Travis, no, draw it up for Kendall. He needs one. And I think that right there is such a good part of the team, right? Saeed has so much confidence in Kendall, says, Coach, he's the one that needs the confidence right now. Let's draw it up for him. And then he hits it, and he goes on to score 11 more points down the stretch.
There's 3 seniors on this team, but Saeed's the only one who's been there this whole way through. Yeah. You guys had, this unbelievable class of 4 tremendous seniors, 3 of you who had basically been there the whole way through together, and then Jamar came a little later on. Yeah. But did you have that relationship with Travis, you personally, or the guys in general, to go, hey, this is what we need to do? Like in the timeout, how much did that happen?
No question. I think there was a lot of quote-unquote arguing, I would say, but in a good way. I think early on a couple of us would struggle with the way he would yell at us. And I think after a while, there was respect, and I think Travis liked when guys would come back at him.
Yeah,
absolutely. To a certain extent. And so, I
That's
still remember.
That's one thing Saeed's learned, right?
Right, yeah.
I mean, Saeed, when he first got here, didn't take that very well. Now he goes back at Trav all the time.
Exactly. And so, obviously it's a respect thing. It's not, Travis, you're wrong. Like, I'm going to do this. But,
sure.
I still remember one time at Northern Colorado, Andre Spite hit a 3 on me, and Travis is just reaming me out of the timeout, and just coaches are almost holding him back because he was so mad at me because it was a close game. And, I start screaming back at him. And then we eventually come to this, we hug it out and we come to this agreement. And, I think Travis really respects that. And so I think for, Mike, Ahmad, Jamar, I think guys weren't afraid to give their opinion in games. And so I think Travis would absolutely listen. If I'm like, hey, Travis, that defense is not going to work right now. Let's do this. And he's like, okay, Bob, let's do this. And so I think that's awesome for a coach to be able to listen to a player like that. And, I don't think Saeed would have done that his freshman year. And I think that's where we've seen his growth. That's why he's got most improved player every year for the Grizz. He's not only improved his game, which is clear, but he's improved his leadership. And the guys on the team are raving about his leadership this year.
How could you let Andre Spite score? He couldn't shoot.
He was about 900
He was not that talented. My goodness.
No, I mean it's pretty crazy the things that Travis would say in practice sometimes. We were scouting for Tyler Hall in practice and Harold Frey, and I'd be on whoever was, I think it was Nico Bevins who was pretending to be Tyler, and somebody else was pretending to be Harold Frey, and Travis said they cannot shoot the ball. They literally cannot shoot the ball. And so I'm like, okay, he's probably, he just wants us to play good defense. And so I'm guarding Nico, and I'm playing perfect defense. I tip the ball, and it lands short of the goal, and Travis just loses it because Nico got the shot off technically. And I was just so shocked, It's just
right.
I mean, it's not possible, but he just wanted to overemphasize it. And so that kind of stuff was so funny to me. But yeah.
Tutel Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television. Bobby Moorhead in studio with us. He's going to stick around for another break. We appreciate him being here. We'll talk more Grizz hoops against Eastern Washington, maybe get into some Montana State as well right after this. Here's to you, the intrepid explorers, driven doers, and off-road adrenaline addicts. Thanks for making Polaris America's best-selling off-road brand. It's time to celebrate with great deals on the world's biggest and best off-road lineup. Live life wide open in a high-performance RZR. Tackle anything from mountains to mud holes on a legendary Sportsman ATV. Get more done with a hard-working Ranger, or elevate your adventure in a versatile Polaris General. Now's the time to find your perfect ride. With financing as low as 3.99% APR for 36 months and savings up to $3,500 during the Polaris New Year's sales event at Kurtz Polaris, 2904 West Broadway in Missoula and Highway 83 in Sealy. The mountains are full of snow, and Kurtz has all the best machines, apparel, and accessories to take full advantage of the season. Online at KurtzPolaris.com, the most fun you can have in snow. Kurtz Polaris, winter awaits. Offers valid in U.S. through 2/29/20 on new 2016 through 2020 vehicles. Subject to credit approval. Offers vary by model. See dealer for details. Always wear a helmet. Never drink and ride.
Hi there, it's Les Schwab Alignment and Brakes and Shocks and Wheels and Tires. Some tire places don't offer all that, but we do to help keep you safe. It's our Les Schwab Founders Celebration. Get $50 off an alignment. That's nearly half off regular price when you purchase 4 Reputation or Open Range AT tires all month long. Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952. Limited time offer while supplies last. Cannot be combined with other offers. Details at leschwab.com.
It's a new year, and that means basketball season is in full swing. From Big Monday to Super Tuesday to the Montana women's and men's basketball teams, Paradise Falls is your hoops headquarters. Paradise Falls has 30 TVs with ESPN3 and Pluto TV capabilities, meaning they can broadcast every single college basketball game you can think of. Paradise Falls also has 18 draft beers, including 6 rotating taps, plus a variety of delicious food. Paradise Falls open 7 a.m. till midnight, located at 3621 Brook Street in Missoula. When it comes to college hoops, any team, anywhere, you can watch in Paradise at Paradise Falls. Hey, it's Coulter, and I'm here with Catherine from The Advocates. If you've been in a car accident or need help dealing with the insurance companies, you should give The Advocates a call. They can tell you if you have a case right over the phone.
That's right. It doesn't cost anything to call, and we'd be happy to talk to you and assess your situation. You don't want to have to deal with contacting the insurance companies and setting up a claim. We can do that for you. We take the hassle out of the process, so you can just focus on getting better.
There you go, folks. If you've been injured in an accident, give The Advocates a call, 406-640-4444, or online at montanaadvocates.com. You deserve The Advocates. Your favorite place in the world besides Montana is Seattle, right, Gus?
That's right. And the only thing I've been missing since I moved back to Montana, teriyaki on every street corner.
Well, if you want real Seattle-style teriyaki, you got to hit up Dobie's Teriyaki downtown. And if you need a reason to try it, Tutel Nuanez, we got you covered. We're going to be giving away free Dobie's Teriyaki every single day the first 2 weeks of February on Tutel Nuanez.
Does the philanthropy know no end?
We are very good to our listeners. So tune in to Tutel Nuanez 4 to 6 every day, 102.9 ESPN Radio.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Good afternoon, Ryan Tutel, Colton Nuanez. Here's some sports news for you. The Big Sky Conference basketball schools from Montana swept their closest out-of-state neighbors Thursday, rising the standings in the process. The Montana Lady Grizz started the day off by winning 77-56 over Eastern Washington in Cheney on Thursday afternoon. And Thursday night, the Montana men, they outlasted Eastern Washington to assume the top spot in the Big Sky alone with a 92-82 victory. Meanwhile, at Montana State, the women also strengthened their lead atop the league standings with a 62-56 win over Idaho in Moscow, while the Montana State men kept pace with an explosive second half. It's 32-32 at the break. They went on to win 72-50 over Idaho in Bozeman.
UMN burst out to a 10-2 lead and led 23-12 midway through the first half, only to see Eastern Washington answer with a 20-4 run. A technical foul called on Kyle Owen's dunk gave Montana motivation going to the locker room despite trailing 45-44. After halftime, the Grizz pitched the lead to as many as 14 points, but the Eagles cut it to 2 with less than a minute to play. In an out-of-control game featuring 56 fouls and 6 technicals, UM emerged the victor by scoring the last 8 points of the night.
Idaho star Trayvon Allen, he had 15 points in the first half for MSU, but then the Bobcats did a nice job defensively, won the second half 40-18 on their way to a win, and they're now 6-5.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is brought to you by Aspen Sound.
It's called a peek behind the veil. When you have someone in your studio who actually knows what the heck is going on instead of sitting here bloviating about it for 2 hours every day like we do. It's Tutel Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television. Hi, how are you? Great to be with everybody here on a Friday afternoon. Always fun on a Friday, and the more so when Bobby Moorhead is in studio with us, former Grizz basketball player, 4-year starter. Did you finish your career at the most games in Grizz history?
Yeah, most games played, yeah.
Man, that's amazing. I actually have the record, you might not know this, for least games played in Grizz history. It's pretty good, I think.
Tied with quite a few people.
Yeah. We're tied. It's all good.
There's a big group of us with that goose egg in the GP column. Bobby, we talked a lot about the Grizz in general, some stuff from the team. I want to talk about Montana State. Montana State won last night handily over Idaho, which is impressive because Idaho, though they are now at 2-9, I think, in Big Sky Conference play, had lost their first 6 games in conference by a combined total of 13 points. I mean, that's insane.
Their 67-63 loss in Missoula was their worst loss of the first 6 games of conference play.
And they lost by 4. And last night, again, tied 32-32, and then Montana State, tip of the cap, walked away with it. They held Idaho to 18 second-half points. You're going to win a lot of games. You play that kind of defense, which is, by the way, a new leaf for Montana State. And that's what Danny Sprinkle has certainly emphasized coming into this season, to the defensive side of things. I know it's a whole new program over there, really, aside from Harold Frey, a little bit Devin Kirby as well. You know, there's a lot of transfers, obviously new coaching staff. But when you played Montana State, you were hot all but one against the Bobcats over the course of your career. It's a rivalry game. The crowds are big. I know the energy's high for that, but it also seemed like there was such a confidence, which frankly seemed to exist even in this year that Montana played Montana State here, even with all the changeover and stuff, that, you know, we're going to go, it's going to be fun, and we're going to win this basketball game. And it's probably not going to be a nail-biter ultimately when it comes down to it. Did you experience that as a player, or is that just from the outside looking in?
Yeah, I think to an extent for sure. But at the same time, you know, I think the coaches do such a good job of not really letting that happen too often, because that would be pretty easy. You know, we won quite a few in a row, and they did get us on one, and they weren't necessarily close very often. And so it would have been easy to discount them and go in and lose multiple times, which didn't happen. And so I think there's a healthy respect. Obviously, it's a lot easier as a player to get up for a game that you know is probably going to be sold out.
But
right?
there's a difference, though, between discounting a team, a.k.a. not giving them respect, but also going in and expecting to win, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the last 2 years, I think we expected to win every Big Sky Conference game.
Yeah.
And that is not in a disrespect to any other team, but I think we felt like we were the best team in the conference. And I don't think, you know, we look back and we lose Jamarco, and that was a bummer, and we still, win a championship towards the end without him. But, we think with Jamar and the pieces that we have, we shouldn't lose a Big Sky Conference game. Now, that historically hasn't happened very often. I don't know if it's ever really happened in the Big Sky, or it doesn't happen. It happens maybe in one conference across the country every year. Like,
maybe.
If that.
Maybe,
And so, we expect that. We know that's probably not going to happen. And so, I think some of the games that were, we were probably more on edge for Weber State, Eastern Washington, Portland State, even these last couple of years have been games that have been, they've kind of been our Achilles heel. They've been really a difficult team for us to beat. And so those kind of games, I think us players, especially as you become more of a veteran player, those games are on your mind a little bit more. But then again, a crowd, being able to play in front of an environment where, where the town cares more about that game than any other game throughout the year. And so for me, it never got to that point. I'm probably getting in trouble. I didn't hate the Cats. I still don't hate the Montana State Bobcats.
You're not going to get in trouble, man. I think that's the biggest misperception in the entire rivalry in every sport. They think that everybody hates each other, and in reality, the athletes don't hate each other. It's the fans that hate each other. You might have like
That's
a
right.
friendly rivalry with the guy, right? But it's the fans that want to like brawl. I know so many Bobcats and Grizzlies, especially in football, that are buddies. They have healthy respect for each
Harold
other.
Frey is such a jerk, though. I mean, he's very hard to like. He's always out there grandstand. I mean, come on, are we kidding here? I mean, Harold Frey is just as he's awesome. He's great to watch play, and he's great to talk to. You should have a healthy respect for anybody like that.
Yeah. So everybody just asks the questions. This game's so important. But it was really just another game with an awesome crowd.
Well, and it's a fair point that you're making too. It's like, okay, yeah, we went 8-1 or whatever it was, 9-1 against Montana State, and almost every other team in the Big Sky too. So it's not as if it was just like an anomaly that you were successful against one particular team.
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple teams I don't think I ever lost to.
Yeah.
In the conference, I'm not sure specifically, but I don't think I ever lost to Idaho State. We did lose. I don't know. Maybe a few others, but there was a couple teams that gave us a lot of problems. Weber State, Portland State, Weber State.
Your junior year, you guys go on that, great run, 26 wins, go to break through, get to the tournament, do the thing, and it seemed like such joy and fun for a good portion of that season.
Yeah,
and the expectations were sky high coming into your senior year, and you replicate almost exactly, in fact, exactly that the season before, do the same thing, ironically enough, against the same team again in the tournament. But it seems like it was more of a grind than it was your junior year. Was that a result of expectations? And actually, let me ask you that. Looking back, how proud are you of what you accomplished? I mean, when you go winningest 2 years in school history and the stretch that you and that group put together.
Man, it was the time of my life. Like it was, incredible. I'll look back on that with incredible memories. Some of these guys are still some of my best friends.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, like people forget quick, and it's not something I just think about. Man, I won the Big Sky. Like this.
Yeah.
It was just, So it's an incredible feeling, and like most incredible feelings, it fades away, and it's an awesome memory I'm gonna have. But this team. Now we got this team. It's exciting to watch, and so I hope they win a championship, and then. You just keep it going, and then you take pride in your school and what they do. So, it was incredible. It was fun, but it was a grind the senior year. And I would venture to say it wasn't as fun my senior year as it was our junior year. And I don't know particularly why that was. There were a number of factors. Our junior year, we had the same starting lineup the whole entire season. Pretty consistent. Guys were, I don't know. And we came off a year that was pretty bad, and so I think –
motivation from that year.
There was
right?
a lot of motivation for that.
Yeah.
We're not that bad. I know we're not. We had really good players, and we just didn't do what we needed to do, and so that left a bad taste in our mouth. And so we were ready to kind of avenge that, knowing that we were, one of the best teams in our conference for sure. And so, so that was great. And so that first year winning that was like, that was like fairy tale, like a dream come true. Especially coming, the game against Northern Colorado in the semifinals was a game that's a game I'll probably never forget, because I didn't think we had any chance to win that game. And
people forget quick, but no one who was in the room will ever forget that game.
No, that's one game I don't think I can ever forget, because there were times, and I know players don't say this, but I didn't think we were going to win. And
there was a point in the game where it was actually impossible for you guys to win, and you still actually won.
Yeah, I think it was 99.9 9% on ESPN's app is what somebody was telling me.
You guys were down
after the game.
8 points with like 13 seconds left. How's that even
it was like
possible?
It was pretty incredible, and just the emotions were so high, and like it was just so draining. And then we had to go back the next night.
Play Eastern.
I think we were down 11 or 13 at halftime, and and that was an interesting feeling because at halftime down 11 is never a good feeling, and guys in the locker room were just like nobody was worried. Like it was a very different feeling from normal. Everybody's like, we're gonna win this game, and everybody believed, and then all of a sudden, within a matter of 6 minutes, we had the lead. And
well, that's what happens when you make 17 stops in 18 possessions, Bobby. That's how you get back in the lead. One more question for you. I just want to know about this team this year because you've been here. You've been watching this team, and not just watching, studying because you're calling games and stuff like that. What have you thought about this iteration of the Montana Grizzlies, which, is a really brand new team in a lot of ways, but still has been playing at a very high level now through conference play?
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing, early on we saw a ton of growing pains, which I expected. And unlike you, I didn't necessarily believe that they would win the Big Sky Conference. Now I believe they can. And that's not because I don't believe in Saeed or I don't believe in Travis but there's just a lot of what ifs.
Sure.
And
it's a whole new
you never
league
know. And
in a
I
lot of
know
ways.
winning it for the last 2 years, it's really difficult to win it. And it's really difficult then to win 3 games in a row and go to the NCAA tournament.
Definitely.
So those are 2 different stories. Obviously, winning the conference is amazing, but then you want to take that next step. And so for these guys, obviously, they lose to Montana Tech early on, and that's a huge blow, and that's something you don't really want to do when you're here. And so people probably started to discount them. I was like, oh man, that's not good. And then I trust Travis though, and I trust some of these older guys who I know a little bit better that they're going to get it right. And they slowly, they have times where they go through some pains again. Against Weber State, they have a tough time at the end of the game, and certain things happen. But they're starting to really play good basketball, and they're playing really confident basketball. And so that's what I noticed the last couple of games is these guys were really ready for these big games. Two of the biggest games of the year, Montana State and Eastern Washington back to back. The guys came out ready to go. Knock down 10 of 14 from 3 in the first half against Montana State, a team that's top 10 in the country in defensive 3-point field goal percentage.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible. Considering 3 freshmen are playing significant minutes in the lineup. So this team has definitely surprised me, and it's been really fun to see the last couple of games. And but the interesting thing is that it's not. It's not as set as it was the last couple of years. For example, Josh Vasquez, 2 games, excluding the Eastern Washington game, the 2 games before that, he was averaging 13 minutes a game. And the 2 games before that, he was averaging 34 minutes.
Right.
And so, there's a lot of question marks, For these guys to be playing the way they are with not knowing if they're going to play much that game, that's a really difficult position to be in, If, I need to get mentally ready for this game, but I might only play 10 minutes, or I might play 39.
Yeah.
So for these guys to be handling it the way they are is really impressive. Kyle Owens has 14 points against Montana State, but the game before played 9 minutes, and he just had to be ready. And that's a testament to what they're doing right now. And in that sense, I'm really surprised and proud of these guys for that because that's not an easy thing to do at all.
Stat on Josh Vasquez: he made 1 3-pointer the first 8 games of conference play. Then he hit that 4 3-pointers in a row against Weber State. He's 8 of 10 from 3 since he hit that first one. I said,
good.
what did I say? I said once he hits one, he's going to get it. But to be prepared, though, like you said, to play spot minutes. I mean, last night he didn't play much, but when he did play, he's ready to roll.
Yeah, it was.
And he's ready to step up and hit shots, which I think it's a testament to him, but also just the mentality of the program right now.
Bobby Moorhead, man, thanks for coming by. We appreciate it. And since you're in town, well, we'll be seeing you in here on the regular.
Absolutely.
Okay, man. Appreciate it. Thanks
for
being here. Sutel Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Hey, we're not going to send you folks away empty-handed right now. Let's hook the people up. Dobie's Teriyaki. They are in Stockman's Bar now, officially, permanently. You go in there for lunch, whenever. You get yourself, the best Seattle meal that you could get in the city of Missoula. Right now, 329-1899, we got a $15 gift card. You can go get 2 Dobie's Teriyakis for $15. You go in there anytime, and lunch, dinner, they got you set up in there. Great place. Colter and I like eating in there all the time. Plus, even if you don't have a gift card, you can go in, tell them you heard it on this show. They'll give you $1 off. Anyway, it's already inexpensive. Save another $1, and you get $1 off a beer even if you have Dobie's at Stocks. That's great.
$2 drafts at Stockman's Bar as well if you get Dobie's Teriyaki. But Bobby's from Seattle. He knows.
Oh.
If you don't
teriyaki shop on every corner. I come over here, I can't find it.
Every corner.
If you don't know what Seattle style teriyaki is, you don't know, but you need to know. You need to go try it. It's better than all the other styles of teriyaki. It's delicious. Dobie's Teriyaki open from 11 a.m. till 8:30 p.m. So go see Brett and the boys. They'll hook you up. Tell them Tutel Nuanez sent you. Get $1 off your meal. But give us a call right now, 329-1899. Got $15 gift card to Dobie's Teriyaki for you. And we'll keep giving them away all week next week, too, so stay tuned.
Lucy Child. She is our student of the week from Bozeman High School. We'll talk to her right after this. Hey, the annual Steak Fry fundraiser for Lost Trail Powder Mountain Ski Patrol is tomorrow at Lost Trail. You go up there, you just ride all day long with your friends and family, and then enjoy live music by Dan Dubuque. Also, there's a raffle for a full season pass for next year, 2020-2021 season pass, and you get a delicious steak or hamburger dinner. Tickets just $20 for the steak, $12 for the burger. You can get tickets right now at losttrail.com, losttrail.com. The conditions, fantastic. They got 20 inches of snow as of yesterday, and you know it's been snowing the last 24 hours up there. Already 180 inches this season at Lost Trail. The snow is always good there. You want to find out more, 31996. That's the number. You text the word powder to 31996. You get powder alerts. And doing that, well, how about another raffle for free for 5 free punches to go. You get 5 days of skiing at Lost Trail this season. So go ahead, text powder to 31996 now and go up there tomorrow for the Ski Patrol fundraiser, Lost Trail Powder Mountain.
This is Mike Nugent with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Berkshire Hathaway provides Western Montana with full-time real estate professionals for you whenever you need us. Our reputation as the state's most knowledgeable and available real estate group has helped build unmatched trust in the Garden City and statewide. If you have been thinking of making a real estate move in the short or long term, give me a call. No pressure, no expectations. Just professional opinions and service at whatever pace you are comfortable with. Give me, Mike Nugent, a call today, 531-1802. And remember, every question is good to ask.
Have you been in an accident and have no idea what to do? I'm here with Catherine from the Advocates Injury Attorneys.
Unfortunately, people are injured in accidents every day, and dealing with the insurance company can add even more pain to an already bad situation. That is where hiring the advocates can help. Let us guide you through the process and take on the hassles for you so you can just focus on getting better.
If you've been injured in an accident, give the Advocates a call, 406-640-4444, or online at montanaadvocates.com. The Advocates are on your side.
College basketball madness is happening again, and there's only one place in town to catch all the games, the Desperado. Catch every buzzer beater, every Cinderella story, and every upset on the Despo's 32 TVs, while getting your fill of the best hot wings Missoula has to offer, of course. Bracket busted? The Despo's got you covered there, too, with cold drinks by the pint or pitcher. The Despo is your headquarters for NCAA basketball, NHL, and NASCAR, too. The Desperado Sports Tavern on South Russell, across from the Y.
Hey, boys and girls, Ryan Tutel and Colton Nuanez here, and hope you know by now that Grizz Greats, the Coaching Tree podcast series, is out and available wherever you get your podcasts. Interviews with every single one of the living University of Montana head men's basketball coaches. We are releasing week by week, and this week, Colton, one of our favorites, Blaine Taylor.
Native son of the Garden City, a star basketball player at Missoula Hellgate, a star in his own right for the Montana Grizzlies as a player and the head coach for the duration, or almost the duration, of the 1990s. Blaine Taylor definitely one of the most well-liked and memorable members of this epic coaching tree.
Just search Grizz Greats wherever you get your podcasts and listen to all 3 episodes that are out now with the first 3 coaches and the bonus episodes accompanying them, and now episode 4 with Blaine Taylor. Grizz Greats, the Coaching Tree podcast, is brought to us by Blackfoot Communications, the company that connects you more, the Bryan Brothers and Mike Nugent at Berkshire Hathaway Real Estate, and Stockman's Bar, proud supporters of Montana basketball for 50 years.
Gus, remember how scared you were to get a facial before you had one at Kindred Skin and Soul?
I'd had one before in Southeast Asia and didn't realize it was going to feel like getting hit in the face with a bat.
The experience downtown, though, was much better, right?
It didn't scar me emotionally or physically. It was pleasant and wonderful in every way.
Valentine's Day is coming up, gents, and we know you have not gotten your lady a present, so tune in to Tutel Nuanez over the next 2 weeks for your chance to win a $50 gift card at Kindred Skin and Soul, downtown Missoula.
Tutel Nuanez, 4 to 6 every weekday, ESPN Radio.
Tutel and Nuanez on 102.9 ESPN Radio for Missoula.
Like the dance of the blues, it's a gathers and cash when the music is through. No, she don't look back.
Welcome back, Tutel Nuanez. 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television. If you're looking for us on the social medias, God bless you. Thanks for doing it. At Gus Tutel, at Skyline Sports MT. And also find the show /station on Twitter and Instagram at 1029 ESPN. Go check it out there. We appreciate all of that. So we talked to a future president. Okay, here we go. In our Mattress Firm Student of the Week, a senior two-sport athlete from Bozeman High School, Lucy Child. Lucy, thank you so much for being with us. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, we are great. Thank you for asking. And let's talk a little bit about the sports that you're in, because you are a two-sport athlete there playing soccer and basketball. You're in the middle of the season right now, so thanks for taking the time out. But what's it been like for you playing sports at Bozeman High School?
Yeah, I've grown up playing sports my entire life. My dad and brother are sports fanatics, and I've been fortunate enough to have been brought up in the same atmosphere. I think Bozeman High, while we can be a bit competitive at times, I think our community does a really great job at fostering a sense of getting outdoors, getting exercise in any sense that you can, which I've really appreciated, and I've just found that in my sports that I participate in, and I love them so much. I found some of my best friends in them, and I plan to continue, maybe not at a super competitive level, but at least intramurals once we get past high school.
And you said your dad and brother are big sports guys out there. Is that how you got into sports, or were you into sports and then your brother? How did that all work?
Yeah, my brother's about 5 years older than me, so like any younger sibling, they want to aspire to be like their older ones.
As an oldest sibling, I can say that is absolutely true. All of my siblings want to be me, so that is outstanding. I agree with you.
Exactly. And so actually my brother was he played football, soccer, basketball, baseball, and I followed in all of those footsteps. I obviously play soccer and basketball, but I started with football, flag football when I was pretty young, and t-ball. And yeah, I loved getting to doing any of those sports with my brother and dad. They always would love on game days, on Sunday football game days, to head out to the yard, throw the ball around, anything like that. It was always a blast.
So you've been doing a bunch of stuff around Bozeman as well, including in the Special Olympics. How did you get involved in the Special Olympics?
Yeah, one of my 8th grade teachers, actually, she and her husband are head facilitators or coaches of the Special Olympics Bozeman Public Schools program here in Bozeman. And she knew that I played soccer and asked if I'd be willing to go through the training course and program to become a unified partner for Special Olympics. And that's what I started to do. That was in 8th grade. And I've continued with it ever since. I've picked up basketball, bocce ball, and track along the way as well, which has always been a blast.
Lucy, let's talk about next year, because you aren't 100% exactly where you're going, but you have been accepted to your number one school, which was Georgetown University in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. Congratulations on that. That's very cool. What about Georgetown was the thing where you're like, that's the one for me, that's what I'd like to do?
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like I just typed out the answer to this question a few months ago.
Well, good. Perfect, then. That's that. You could give a great answer, I'm sure.
Exactly. Hopefully. We'll see. I mean, for starters, I love Washington, D.C., and coming from Montana, we live in a beautiful state. We have access to so many different opportunities, especially when it comes to landscape, which I've loved and appreciated and sucked the joy out of, like, in every respect, I guess. But I'm looking for that bigger city, and D.C., I found that you could spend years in D.C. and try and do one thing on your bucket list there every day and never run out of things to do. There's always something to do, which I love. I personally want to get into political science and economics, so there's really no better place to be than in the nation's capital, I guess. So I definitely love that aspect. Georgetown itself, I think it offers a very holistic education, which I appreciate, obviously, and especially being able to tie that to the surrounding atmosphere, that D.C. culture, I think is really important, something that Georgetown does a really good job at doing. And then lastly, I guess, I found myself actually drawn to a Jesuit education, which there are only 28 universities in the United States that offer that at the college level, like I said. And aside from theology, the religious aspects of it, anything like that per se, the philosophies carried by these institutions are incredible, as they really just try and foster a sense of community and empowering those around you and reaching out to the less fortunate, which I think align with my ideals, especially with everything that I've done here at high school. So, yeah, there you go.
Well, Lucy, that's phenomenal. We wish you the absolute best, first of all, for the rest of this basketball season, the rest of your school year, and then heading perhaps and maybe probably to Georgetown University. Congratulations again on that. That's fantastic, and I'm sure it will go great for you wherever you end up going. But thank you for being with us, and congratulations on being the Student of the Week this week, all right?
Yes, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for being with us. Lucy Child, Bozeman High School, Bozeman, Montana. Great to talk to her. This is fun, and you can nominate any student you would like as well at mattressfirmmt.com. Mattressfirmmt.com. You go online there. You click on the Listen Live tab. Not the Listen Live. You Listen Live tab at 1029ESPN.com. You click on the Student tab there, and you can nominate any kid anywhere in the state of Montana. They'll be featured on SWX Montana Television, and then as well here, an interview on Tutela Nuanez. So we appreciate that. And then at the end of the year, Student of the Year going to be given a $3,000 scholarship. They'll do a vote, select the Student of the Year, and Mattress Firm giving a $3,000 scholarship. So that's very, very cool. Hour number 1 in the books. Hour 2 straight ahead. We got a $50 gift card for somebody to hook them up for Valentine's Day we're going to get to. We also have a couple other goodies in the bag. The 2-minute matchup, but next, Dante Olson invited to the NFL Combine. How about that? We'll talk about it, what that means, right after this.
Romance your Valentine at the Montana Club with our 4-course Lover's Delight for 2, featuring Parmesan crusted artichoke hearts, succulent king crab legs, perfectly grilled Angus steaks, and a grilled lobster tail, followed by our luscious vanilla bean cake with fresh raspberries. Just one of the mouth-watering options to be savored on our special Valentine menu, served February 13th through the 16th at the Montana Club. See the full menu at montanaclub.com on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
In Western Montana, we know shopping local matters, and you may think you'd pay more for the quality and customer service that comes with it, but not at Selway Armory. Selway Armory is locally owned with knowledgeable specialists that can answer your questions. In addition to the expertise, though, Selway Armory also has a bigger selection and lower prices than the box stores. When you're in the market for firearms and accessories, save money with the experts at Selway Armory. Selway Armory, 2825 Stockyard Road, Unit E6, and online at selwayarmory.com.
Hey, guys, you ever heard of Magic Johnson?
Rings a bell.
One of the greatest basketball superstars of all time played for a man named Judd Heathcote at Michigan State. And guess what? Judd Heathcote started his career at the University of Montana.
Coulter, did you know that 2 former University of Montana head coaches have been head coaches in the NBA and 1 on Team USA?
Isn't that amazing?
And that's why we've created Grizz Greats, the Coaching Tree podcast. Get it wherever you get your podcast. Just search Grizz Greats.
It's a phenomenal and historic podcast series proudly presented by Blackfoot Communications and Berkshire Hathaway Real Estate.
Turn your whiskers into wishes. Make-A-Wish Montana is holding their annual No Razor fundraiser. 60 Montana children with critical illnesses are waiting for their one true wish to be granted. Your magnificent mane can help raise money that can help kids that have a wish and desperately need for that wish to come true. Fun, easy, and for the kids. There will be prizes for top fundraisers, events throughout the state, and one fuzzy contestant will walk home as the best beard in Montana. Register your beard, real or fake, at montanabeardies.com. Beard on, Montana.
New Medicare cards are here, but as always, there are simple ways to protect yourself from fraud. Never give out your Medicare, Social Security, or bank number over the phone. Medicare will never call to sell you something. To detect any problems, always read your Medicare Summary Notice or Medicare Advantage EOB to make sure those are services you received. Report suspicious activity to Montana SMP at 800-551-3191. This project is supported by a grant from the U.S. Administration for Community Living.
Have you been hurt or disabled? Are you missing time from work and not sure what to do? I'm attorney Chris Helmer, and Clark Fork Law Offices in Missoula is here to help. Our team specializes in worker compensation, personal injury, and Social Security disability. We fight for the benefits you deserve. Call Clark Fork Law at 728-0168 for a free consultation or visit clarkforklaw.com. Again, 728-0168.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana. KKVU HD3 Stevensville and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Good evening, Ryan Tutel, Colton Nuanez. Some sports news for you. The Big Sky Conference basketball schools from Montana swept their closest out-of-state neighbors yesterday, rising in the standings in the process. The Montana Lady Grizz, they got the day off to a winning start, but with a 77-56 win over Eastern Washington in Cheney. On Thursday night, the Montana men outlasted Eastern Washington to assume the top spot in the Big Sky Conference alone with a 92-82 victory. The Montana State women, they also strengthened their lead atop the league standings with a 6-point win over Idaho and Moscow, while the Montana State men had a tie ball game against Idaho going into halftime, and then they held the Vandals to 18 second-half points and rolled to a 72-50 win in Bozeman.
The UMN burst out to a 10-2 lead and led 23-12 midway through the first half, only to see Eastern Washington answer with a 20-4 run sparked by Jacob Davidson. A technical foul call and a Kyle Owens dunk gave Montana motivation going into the locker room despite trailing 45-44. And after halftime, the Grizz pushed the lead to as many as 14, but Davidson and the Eagles continued to battle, cutting it to 2 with less than a minute to play in an out-of-control game featuring 56 fouls and 6 technicals. UM emerged the victor by scoring the last 8 points of the night.
And finally, Idaho's star Trayvon Allen. He had 15 points in the first half, but was bottled up in the second. MSU is now 6-5.
This ESPN Sports Center is presented by Clark Fork Law. Now from the Kurtz Polaris studio, here is Ryan Tutel and Colter Nuanez.
Welcome to hour number 2. Happy to have you on board. Welcome to your weekend. 5 o'clock is come and gone, so hopefully you are enjoying yourself rolling around out there in the world. If you missed anything in the first hour of the show, check it out on the podcast. The podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts. Bobby Moorhead was good enough to swing by, spend some time with us. We appreciate that very much. If you missed any of it or want to listen again, he was great to have in here. Check it out on the Tutel and Nuanez podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe, listen, enjoy that. Podcast brought to us by the Wingate by Wyndham Hotel and Blackfoot Communications. If you'd like to call, you can do that as well. 329-1899, the phone number, 329-1899, the phone number. All guests join us via the Rankage Brothers RV phone line. You're going to need that phone number, boys and girls, because we're going to give you a $50 gift card in this hour to Kindred Skin and Soul. So Valentine's Day is coming up. You need a gift for your significant other. Kindred Skin and Soul going to take care of that for you right here. In the second hour of the show. If you would like to listen online, 1029ESPN.com is where you go. You listen to the stream there. Thanks to Opportunity Bank, your local bank, your opportunity. Colter, Dante Olson was invited officially to the NFL Combine. He is one of 8 FCS players that got an invite to the Combine.
3 from Rhode Island.
That's pretty impressive.
Rhode Island finished, I think, either last or second to last in the CAA this year.
If is this right? Do I have this right? Rhode Island is the smallest state?
You've got it right.
Nailed it. That's remarkable to have 3 guys from the same team go into the Combine. I mean, that's impressive.
Not just a team, and not just an FCS team, a bad FCS team.
Right. Hey,
James Madison, 3 guys, still be impressive.
What were you you were telling me? Was it Shane Collins' high school team? How stacked they were and what 2-9.
Yeah, Shane Collins is high school too. I write a bio on Shane Collins, who's arguably the greatest high school athlete in the history of the state of Montana. And at Bozeman High School, Shane Collins, Corey Widmer, who went on to be a 7 or 8 year starter at middle linebacker for the New York Giants. Shane Collins himself started for the Washington Redskins as a rookie. Injuries derailed his career. But 2 guys who were drafted in the top 100 picks in the NFL draft, as well as a couple other guys who went on to be all Big Sky players at Montana State, won 2 games at Bozeman High School in 1987. It's one of the great anomalies in the history of high school football in Montana.
Well, okay. Fast forward to the present day. I think 336 guys go to the combine. 44 linebackers, which Dante Olson is one. And there are only 2 guys from the Big Sky Conference going. Dante Olson and, here's my best shot, Charlie Ta'umoepeau. Touchdown, Charlie, if we could.
Ta'umoepeau.
There you go.
Yeah.
The outstanding tight end from Portland State, who, if you paid attention to the Portland State game or just the team in general, you know about Touchdown Charlie. But he is, from a body standpoint, as you say all the time, that's what they look like. He's got the other guy that got to go to the combine. There's 7 rounds times 32 plus a couple of extras, but
about 260 picks.
260 picks. There's about 80 more guys at the combine, roughly, than what are going to actually be drafted.
There's also some guys that didn't get invited to the combine that are going to be drafted.
For sure.
I can't remember the young man's name, but the guy I think he's considered the number 1 corner in the Big 12. He's Oklahoma's number 1 corner.
Okay.
When the invites went out, they obviously send the invites to the premier schools first. So Oklahoma was one of the first schools to receive their invites, and this kid didn't get it, and he was blowing up Twitter about it, and then everybody else was blowing up Twitter about it too. But I think the kid will almost certainly get drafted, and so there is some on the other side of this thing too.
No doubt. And there's always teams. This is where you go for everybody to basically to be there at one time, but teams have their board, and whether you're at the combine or not, they're going to put that thing together the way they want to put it together, regardless of whether you're at the combine. But certainly, the top. This is the place to be. We understand the deal. The other thing, though, beyond the drafting, is there's probably double, if not more, the number of guys that get drafted that pick up free agent, contracts to go in and, go to mini camps. And I'm not even talking about just the rookie mini camps, which are a 1 in 40 shot, if that you even get through to the mini camp. But you're talking about, it's not preferred walk-on, but it's a preferred free agent, essentially, that guys get that aren't drafted. So there's plenty of those going around. And just about everybody that goes to the combine is at minimum going to have something like that. I mean, that's pretty standard, not to say nothing of, top 1, first or second round draft pick. I'm excited about this, though, because I think this is an acknowledgement of a couple of things. The awards that you get at the FCS level are usually an acknowledgement of productivity. Going to the combine is an acknowledgement of you as a football player in relation to the rest of the country. And I don't know who puts together the list. I don't know how they decide this guy, this guy, this guy. Certainly, if you have X number of awards, that's benefit. I mean, to have won the Buck Buchanan Award could do nothing but benefit your chances of being invited. But Tyrone Holmes won the Buck Buchanan Award for the University of Montana, was not invited to the combine. And there's who was the last Grizzly to go to
Jordan
a combine?
Jordan Tripp.
Okay,
yep.
So who's
older, Jordan Tripp or Tremaine Johnson? Jordan Tripp is.
Yeah.
True was a senior in 2011.
Those 2 guys went. And by the way, Jordan Tripp did not win the Buck Buchanan Award, but still got to go. So, point being, it's great. There's a level of acknowledgement merely in being invited to this thing. The other thing is, this is a place where occasionally a guy can completely make hay and their draft stock can go way up. Sometimes it can go the other way, work against you. But here's what I think. Dante Olson is just invariably, if you're coming from the FCS, you're going to be in the I mean, they don't rank the guys, you know what I mean? But there's not a level of expectation about what you're going to do over and against everybody else compared to some guys who, if you take the top 5 projected linebackers, and I don't know who they are, but whatever, there's a level of expectation about what you're going to do in the 40, in the vertical jump, and all of that stuff. Whereas if you're not in that group, if you're one of the, bottom 20 or last 20 or however you want to talk about it, linebackers in the room, show me what you got. But I don't think guys are there, looking and anticipating. And then there's an opportunity then for you to do something that they go, whoa, wait a minute. How high can you jump? How fast can you run? And I don't know what Dante Olson's going to do. You and I have heard people talk about some of the numbers that he's posted in season, which, by the way, is not the time really to do things like combine drills. I mean, this is what you're training for now so that you can maximize that come the end of this month and early March when the actual combine happens, but that are going to be presumably very impressive. I don't know what Dante Olson's 40 is going to be. I think that is going to be a major question. But in terms of his vertical and maybe something like a 3-cone drill, I think he's going to do very well at this thing in a lot of ways. So the numbers will be what they are. You got to love the combine, though, Colton, because this is like track for you. It's
absolutely.
The number. You ran what you ran, man. You jumped as high as you jumped. You did the drill as good as you did. You benched as many as you did, and that's it. That's your number. So let's see where you're at.
I think sometimes NFL executives get drunk on combine numbers. There's some dudes who are just really good at the tests or who just have freakish athleticism. It doesn't necessarily mean you're good at football. I mean, DK Metcalf really proved me wrong the second half of the year and into the playoffs this year. He was kind of the guy that was the red flag of this last draft, of a guy that
he was the combine hero.
He's a combine freak, but you're like, well, bro, why didn't you do anything at Ole Miss then? And can you actually do anything in the league? Maybe you're just not good at football. But then he turned out to be also good at football. Your boy John Ross is another example. He runs the fast 40 in history and has caught, 2 passes in his NFL career?
He's been hurt, injured, but
that's part of it. That's part of it. But I think that, like I said off the top of the show, sometimes when guys get invited to, oftentimes guys get invited to the combine out of the FCS ranks, there's a lot of apprehension attached to that invite.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, and from people that are supporting them, when Cooper Kupp gets invited, he's got 440 catches and 2 million yards and 100 touchdowns. I mean, really, he's the all-time leader in the history of college football in receiving catches, yards, and touchdowns. So his production is uncomparable. There is no one that's better than him ever. So there's this thought then that going to the combine, almost anything he could do is going to do nothing but hurt him. And there's this perception that he's this, as they always tease on the shows, the hardworking overachiever from a small school. And Kupp didn't run any sort of insane 40. He just kind of did exactly what maybe was the baseline of neither success or failure. He ran, I think, a 4.6 and some change. Not elite fast by any means, but also not brutally slow. I mean, you go out there and run 4.7, 4.8, nada. You're not getting drafted probably. So he did exactly what he needed to do. But the thing about this Dante Olson invite is that I think that the production is eye-opening.
Yeah.
But I think that Dante Olson's physical skills, as well as his personal makeup, are going to do nothing but help his draft stock rise. And I can't wait to see it. I mean, I've heard 40-plus inch vertical. That'll open some eyes, certainly. I've heard that he runs a sub 4.6. Running sub 4.6 at the Champion Center, running sub 4.6 at the AccuTrack at the NFL Combine when you're in your underwear and every executive and every head coach in the league is watching is a whole different game.
Two different things, yep.
But, I mean,
if he could do it.
If he can do it, he can do it. The other thing I think that he's got to do is he's just got to focus on his own numbers. Because there's going to be dudes that are going to have untouchable numbers. I mean, who's the kid from LSU that got drafted by the Bucs in the top 10?
I don't know.
Last year. His combine was insane. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You're not going to do that.
Well, of course, but you're also your goal here isn't to be, presumably. I mean, maybe it's, but you're not a top 10 draft pick. You're not a first round draft pick.
No, right.
You are there to make one team or two teams go, wow, we got to get this guy. You have to make a board somewhere along the line, and if they go, okay, that's better than what most of the guys are doing. here's a guy we absolutely need to keep an eye on. And as this draft shapes up, a lot of these guys, it's not about were you good enough to get drafted or not. Anybody that, look, I don't want to be this guy, but I'm going to be this guy. Anybody that's done fantasy football, you sit there and the draft as it happens, all of a sudden you would have never picked this guy as a wide receiver, and then you go, oh my goodness, there's nobody left. I got to get a wide receiver. We got to get this guy in here. But consequently, the tight end, who's probably 8 times better than the wide receiver, doesn't get taken. All I'm saying is that happens in reality, too, in the actual draft, where teams are going and they're sitting there going, well, we were going to draft this guy all day long in the 6th round, but all of a sudden we looked up and there wasn't a safety left to take, and we had to get a safety in here, so we used that pick on a safety who we didn't have nearly as high on our board. I mean, that stuff happens because of the draft itself is a dynamic thing that is in motion and malleable and shifts from the time it starts to the time it ends. So you being quote-unquote good enough to be drafted is part of it, but in the back half of the draft, it's really a lot more about how the picks go at times than it is about you as a player. But at the end of the day, if you can be the 12th or 14th linebacker on a team's board as opposed to the 33rd or 34th linebacker on a team's board, I mean, that is the I mean, that's all and I don't know how many. I don't know how deep this thing goes, presumably 44 plus however many more you got. So, I mean, the linebacker board is probably 70 dudes, right? I mean, on any of these, on any given NFL draft board, where can you get on somebody's board? Because just like the Dallas Cowboys could put Dante Olson at 18, and the Cleveland Browns could have him at 53.
Right.
And that happens all the time. And that's when you hear these execs go, man, we couldn't believe we got this guy here.
Two different things. First of all, the one thing that's going to hurt Dante Olson completely aside from his performance is the fact that the position that he plays. It's a position of low demand in terms of other positions, especially when you're talking about drafting guys.
Right.
Guys that are proportionally compared to their peers at the position, not even close to as good at corner and left tackle, are going to just go ahead of you in the draft if you're an inside linebacker.
Yeah.
Especially because so much of what he's going to have to do in terms of making a roster is going to come after the draft. It's going to come in camp. And so a lot of times, a lot of teams are just not going to waste a draft. Not waste is the wrong word, but they're not going to use a draft pick on an inside linebacker if they can get other really coveted positions. So that's something that is completely outside of his control. Mm-hmm. The other thing that I have always found fascinating is these guys work out really hard all year round. And I think that Matt Nicholson at Montana is doing a great job as the strength coach at the University of Montana. And I think the last 2 years since Coach Hauck has been back, the first 2 days of fall camp when they're just in shells, the guys look great. I mean, they look really physically good. And so I'm not trying to knock the strength training programs at either Montana or Montana State. But that said, training in season with your team in football or out of season in the off season during spring ball, whatever it might be, there's a lot of wear and tear on your body, first of all. Second of all, we've talked about this on and off the air. These guys are living on really, really, really limited budgets. Even if you're a full scholarship athlete like Dante Olson has been, you don't have a ton of money to spend on food and proper nutrition. You're probably living on $200, $250 a month for groceries. And if you're trying to get calories, that oftentimes means you're not probably pounding the most organic, delicious things. One of the most fascinating parts I've seen is guys that were very physically formidable, when their season gets done, they go somewhere else to train. This happened with Alex Singleton at Montana State, Bo Sandlin at Montana State. Both incredibly physically gifted guys, certainly. But they come back, and they got muscles you've never seen before. They got six-packs.
Right.
And a part of it, I mean, that's the other thing that you got to say, is that Dante Olson's been clean living for his whole time here.
Sure.
And I think that is a huge advantage as well.
No doubt.
But, I mean, like Alex Singleton, I mean, he's a friend of mine, so I can say this. He told me, yeah, man, like, I got a six-pack now because I just went and trained in California for 20 weeks and I didn't have a single beer.
Yeah.
And so that it helps you. But what I'm saying is that Dante Olson's training down in California right now, and even all the tests he might have done here at the University of Montana and what his best numbers to this point are, they could be even greater when he goes down. And, I mean, he hasn't been training to run specifically just the 40 like Troy Shaw, for example. Troy Shaw down in Florida, he's the 40 guru. Everybody thought Brock Coyle was just going to be this incredibly slow dude. He's a hitter. He's a tough guy. He's slow. Well, he goes and runs a 4.54 on his pro day because he went and trained with Troy Shaw. He knows how to run. That's what's going to happen with Dante Olson, I think, going into this process.
And this is the great irony of this, is that the reason this doesn't happen during football season is because, they're learning how to play football. They are preparing for assignments and gaps and all the schemes and everything in the studying that you do. And certainly you work on your physical body all the way through. You have to. But a lot of it is recovery stuff and everything like that. The irony of this is that these guys are trying to get great at track and field, so that then they can go try and play football. Whereas, if they had 2 months to just get even better at football, it would probably ultimately benefit them, at least as a player, later on more. But you're right. To go there and work on how many times can I get this bench up? How fast can I run? How do I get out of a block quickly, out of the blocks in terms of a track blocks? All that stuff. That's the stuff you're working on, and so to work on that and work on it exclusively as your job, aka, at this point, you're gonna post stuff. The only thing is, presumably, basically everybody else is doing that same thing too. So all the numbers are trying to hit high water marks in 3 days in Indianapolis. We'll see if they're able to do that. Tutel Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. One last thing here, Coulter. Lance Zierlein, who writes for NFL Network, has put together. They put these bios out on these, all of the guys who are going to the combine and say what they're good at, and he's got an overview, and then it gives strengths and weaknesses. And the strengths are, early diagnosis plus recognition, great feel, discipline. He's a tackling machine, great instincts, lateral agility to contort and ensnare cutback runners. Excellent, excellent work. I'm convinced this is so much more about being a good writer. But that's just
one of the greatest Dan Patrick Show sticks that there is when they have guys that are like all pro players read like J.J. Watt reading his thing. He's never read it before. He's doing this on live radio. Is hilarious.
So anyway, but the weakness is speed deficient, which straight line speed, okay. But it says loses angles to runners in sideline pursuit. Look, I realize it's FCS football, okay? One of the greatest things that Dante Olson does as a football player that I've watched him is absolutely win the angles race to the sideline to get guys that normally he would, any other linebacker would never be able to touch. So this to me is ironic. This is more of a reflection maybe of the senior, you probably watch him for 1 week at the Senior Bowl and all that kind of stuff or whatever it was. This is not wholly accurate. And again, I understand, you're playing in honey at the FCS level compared to what it is in the NFL, okay? The speed, it's not even comparable. So I'm not saying he's just going to go track down, any running back in the league the way he does here. But that's certainly not a knock if you've watched him play football. I mean, you can't say that at this point to me. So anyway, we can put that on the side. We'll see. But it will be fun to have Dante Olson at the Combine and see what numbers get put up, and to be seen by all 32 teams, multiple guys, presumably interviews and all that stuff, to be a known commodity in that sense. Sometimes it's just about getting in a room and having that feel, having that space with the team.
This overview, I'll read you the overview because you read the weaknesses. Tall, angular inside linebacker who's slightly below average by athletic measurements, but way above average when it comes to see ball, get ball. True. Olson is an instinctive, skilled hunter who feels play development and takes wide angles to the football. He's a heavy striker and a fundamentally sound tackler in the open field.
Winning angles.
Oh, winning angles, excuse me. He's a heavy striker and a fundamentally sound tackler in the open field. The question is whether he can overcome a lack of twitch or NFL pursuit speed. He's smart and productive. That could be enough to land him on a roster despite where he is drafted. And that's why the Combine invite is huge for Dante Olson, because every negative thing that is said in this synopsis, he can at least not put to rest, but
say there's enough strengths here to make me.
And he can also just buck the notion. I mean, below average athletic measurements, if he has above average athletic measurements or elite athletic measurements, people will start to rethink it because they already see the football player that he is.
I'd like to point out one thing about
David.
Dante Olson in the Combine. The best thing that he has going for him in getting this invite is that he has the opportunity to talk to every single NFL official.
Mm-hmm.
He gets to show his character and what kind of guy he is. He's been on the show multiple times. Coulter's interacted with him all the time. He's a great kid, and these are things that NFL executives are looking for, especially for guys that are like dying to make an NFL roster. They want to see a guy who loves football.
You know, it's a great point, David, because if you're talking about bringing a guy on to be the 48th guy on your roster, the 52nd guy on your roster, you are not looking for anything that even resembles a red flag when it comes to anything like character or anything other than just the pure desire to play, and he will be 5-star across the board in all of that stuff. That's a great point. Tutel Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. The last segment, I know you got more.
I just have one more.
Okay.
In terms of the character thing, his character is impeccable. And I think some teams will love that. There's a certain element where they want you to be really edgy. And I wonder how he navigates that part of it. I don't think he's going to be able to do anything about it.
Yeah. He's just who he is.
He's not an edgy guy, but it doesn't make him soft. That's a rarity.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that don't have an edge that also cannot harness an edge. He can. That's what makes him different than a lot of guys.
Yeah, you're going to have to show the wolf howl on film and say, this is who I am on the field. Boys and girls, chick who doesn't know sports, or Fred Carolyn. One of the more fun segments that we do every Friday right after this. The Polaris New Year's sales event is on, and now is the time to find your perfect ride at Kurtz Polaris, with financing as low as 3.99% APR for 36 months and savings of up to $3,500. Kurtz Polaris is at 2904 West Broadway in Missoula and on Highway 83 in Sealy. The mountains, they're full of snow. They're getting more all the time, and Kurtz has all the best machines, apparel, and accessories to take full advantage of the season. Online at KurtzPolaris.com. The most fun you can have in snow. Kurtz Polaris winter awaits.
Hey, it's Coulter, and I'm here with Catherine from The Advocates. If you've been in a car accident or need help dealing with the insurance companies, you should give The Advocates a call. They can tell you if you have a case right over the phone.
That's right. It doesn't cost anything to call, and we'd be happy to talk to you and assess your situation. You don't want to have to deal with contacting the insurance companies and setting up a claim. We can do that for you. We take the hassle out of the process, so you can just focus on getting better.
There you go, folks. If you've been injured in an accident, give The Advocates a call. 406-640-4444 or online at montanaadvocates.com. You deserve The Advocates.
Farmer State Bank is proud to share that our customer, Phillipsburg Brewing Company, has been crafting quality, handcrafted beer since 2012. Congratulations to Nolan and Kathy Smith and the entire team at Phillipsburg Brewing Company on their award-winning brews. The next time you see her, ask Kathy why she calls Farmer State Bank best bank ever. Farmer State Bank, helping businesses succeed since 1907. Member FDIC.
Hey, boys and girls, Ryan Tutel and Colton Nuanez here, and hope you know by now that Grizz Greats, the Coaching Tree podcast series, is out and available wherever you get your podcasts. Interviews with every single one of the living University of Montana head men's basketball coaches. We're releasing week by week, and this week, Coulter, one of our favorites, Blaine Taylor.
Native son of the Garden City, a star basketball player at Missoula Hellgate, a star in his own right for the Montana Grizzlies as a player and the head coach for the duration, or almost the duration, of the 1990s. Blaine Taylor definitely one of the most well-liked and memorable members of this epic coaching tree.
Just search Grizz Greats wherever you get your podcasts and listen to all 3 episodes that are out now with the first 3 coaches and the bonus episodes accompanying them, and now episode 4 with Blaine Taylor. Grizz Greats, the Coaching Tree podcast, is brought to us by Blackfoot Communications, the company that connects you more, the Bryan Brothers and Mike Nugent at Berkshire Hathaway Real Estate, and Stockman's Bar, proud supporters of Montana basketball for 50 years.
Do you want to know how to talk to your child about drugs and alcohol, vaping and marijuana? Tuesday, February 11th, 6 till 8 p.m., Missoula Underage Substance Abuse Prevention will hold a community conversation to answer questions and provide information to help youth make healthier decisions in Missoula. Join them at the ZAC downtown to learn, share your perspective, and discuss what we can do as a community about youth substance use. Dinners provided. Child care and youth activities are available. RSVP at MissoulaCounty.us/SAP.
Join the Bitterroot Water Forum for the 2020 International Fly Fishing Film Festival Thursday, March 5th at the Bedford Building in Hamilton at 7 p.m. Doors open at 6. Festival showcases films from all corners of the globe, highlighting the passion and culture of fly fishing. Tickets are available at the Bitterroot Water Forum office, at the Freestone Fly Shop, and the Bitterroot Brewery. $13 in advance, $15 at the door, door prizes, and a raffle to win a float trip for 2.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Good evening, Ryan Tutel, Colton Nuanez. Here's some sports news for you. This past weekend, the Big Sky Conference basketball schools, by weekend I mean, of course, yesterday, that's Thursday, swept their closest out-of-state neighbors. That's the men and the women. The Montana Lady Grizz got the day started off right by winning 77-56 over Eastern Washington in Cheney. Then, last night, the Montana Grizzly men, they outlasted Eastern Washington to assume the top spot in the Big Sky Conference alone with a 92-82 victory. The MSU women, they also strengthened their lead atop the league standings with a 6-point win over Idaho on the road in Moscow. And in Bozeman, the Montana State Bobcats were tied with Idaho 32-32 at half, but then went on a huge 40-18 second-half run to win 72-50.
The UM men burst out to a 10-2 lead and led 23-12 midway through the first half, only to see Jacob Davidson and Eastern Washington answer with a 20-4 run. A technical foul on Grizz freshman Kyle Owens' dunk gave Montana motivation going in the locker room despite trailing 45-44. After halftime, the Grizz pushed the lead to 14, but the Eagles cut it to 2 with less than a minute to play. In an out-of-control game featuring 56 fouls and 6 technicals, UM emerged the victor by scoring the last 8 points.
And in Bozeman, Idaho star Trayvon Allen, he scored 15 points in the first half, but MSU trapped him for the duration of the second. And again, the Bobcats won the second stanza 40-18. They're now 6-5 in Big Sky play. Over. We're giving you a $50 gift card to Kindred Skin and Soul. That sounds like a great Valentine's gift to me, so stick around for that. It's Tutel Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and a happy Friday it is. Boys and girls, it's Friday. It was snowing. Proper makes you think that maybe we're still going to be okay. And the person that makes me feel like it's always going to be okay on a Friday is our dear friend Carolyn, the chick who doesn't know sports, back with us once again to break down the week that was in the sports world. Hello, Carolyn. How are you?
What a week it was.
Wow. Boy, I mean, Super Bowls and every other thing.
Super Bowl and other stuff.
Okay. Well, what are we starting with? Are we starting with the Super Bowl or the other stuff?
Yeah, let's take it back. Let's throw it back to Sunday.
Okay, Super Bowl Sunday.
About
Great.
6 o'clock, 6:30 p.m.
Yeah.
The lights go down.
Mm-hmm.
The pyrotechnics go up.
Right.
And out walks Shakira.
Uh-huh.
And pearls are clutched across the land. Women
That's one.
and children
Is that a euphemism?
cannot handle that some women were dancing, shaking their booties.
Uh-huh.
And I was shocked at how many people were offended by this show.
Is that right?
Really?
Even as a mother of, like, adolescent boys, this didn't bother you?
No.
To have them, were they watching?
No.
Well, no, because you were skiing. Did you even see the show, or are you just reviewing what you've seen elsewhere?
The only thing I watched on Sunday live was the halftime show.
Okay.
So
you and 100 million other people. It's the only thing I watched
I'm
live
not
too.
bragging. I'm just letting you know.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, the only part of the Super Bowl I watched live was the halftime show too.
Yeah.
And I was trying to watch the duration of the game.
I know you were.
It's the only times the moms would shut up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because they were judging, they were angry. I don't know what was going on.
No, my mother loved it.
Okay. Well,
loved. The best thing of her life.
Well, that's good to hear.
Well, it's not that good to hear. It should at least be the second best thing in her life, right,
No,
Coulter?
this
Or
is so far
third.
down the list. Are you kidding me? My brother and his two sons are significantly higher on the list.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
My
Yeah.
cousins. Oh, yeah. Come on.
Well, after you've told me how mean you were to your mom growing up.
Oh, my gosh. I'm just preparing you for the wrath that's
Ugh.
coming from your kids.
No, my perfect angels. So, no, my kids did not watch it. But but I wouldn't have cared. The only thing that was offensive was the camera people were the ones who were going.
A lot of low angle shots.
Yeah,
there.
but that wasn't J-Lo's fault.
Well, I mean, it was not. I mean, I'm not here to assign blame or anything, but it wasn't an accident that they were standing down, at the field level with the camera right at the stage side. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
I mean, the whole thing is prepared.
I get that, but I
Okay.
just think people were really overreacting.
Welcome to America 2020.
So there was a lot of debate across Facebook, across, our sales meeting.
And I hate social media, and it was absolutely the funniest social media reactions of all time. The greatest that I saw was the woman who said, "This was so offensive that my 2 teenage boys went and locked themselves in their room for the rest of the night."
Don't.
It's too good.
Don't continue.
That
Don't
was my
continue.
favorite.
Too good.
My good Christian boys had to go lock themselves in their bedroom.
Do you? I think have contextualized this pretty well. Is there like a summation of this here, or is it just sort of
So
putting
obviously
it out there?
you're not offended by it.
In conclusion,
Yes.
relax, everyone.
Okay.
Jeez.
Okay.
All right, moving on.
Okay. Great.
So the Super Bowl winners were the Chiefs,
Yes.
the Kansas City Chiefs,
Very good.
Kansas City, Missouri, coincidentally, where my mother was born in 1941. Just
she
a
was
fun
Canadian.
fact.
In
no, my
Kansas
dad's
City?
Canadian.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway,
Well,
just thought, if there's ever a trivia,
Yeah. Where
Now
we
you
need
know.
to
Where was
know
the chick who doesn't know sports? Parents born.
mother.
or if you want to
yes.
steal my identity, I guess. But
Mm.
isn't that a question? I don't know. Anyway,
Well,
so they had a little parade and
Yes.
powwow after,
Yeah.
and that Travis Kelce guy in a Louis Vuitton jacket
Right.
really sounded dumb.
Now, see, this is where the things that you bring here, which I love. Okay, this is where you are just wrong.
you got to draw the line.
This is this is
when
so
people that are supposed
wrong.
to sound smart sound dumb, like the president or the Speaker of the House, that's dumb. When an NFL Pro Bowl tight end sounds like a meathead, I mean, come on.
First
That's
of all,
what he is.
He was out there impersonating Ric Flair. He's not
Right.
even being
He's wearing
himself.
he's wearing a professional wrestling
He's
belt.
acting and rallying the crowd up.
I thought pep rallies were before games, not after.
I mean, this is remarkable. I mean, you've hit a new. I mean, I realize it's right in the name of the segment, but this is digging now deep below the surface.
It's the championship parade. Don't you remember Jim McMahon and
have a
Chicago Bears
parade
35 years ago?
After you win the title, that's how it works. And then everybody shows up, and then you arrive at some place, and everybody drinks beer and throws champagne and yells into microphones while the crowd gets frothed into a frenzy. That's what you do in the United States of America 4 times a year for 4 different championships.
What are the other championships they do this for?
The NBA Finals, the NHL Stanley Cup Championship, and the World Series.
Right.
Now, in my memory bank, Michael Jordan didn't sound like that when he was addressing the crowd in Chicago.
Well, right. Michael Jordan was like, depending on who you listen to, the biggest fraud in the history of pro sports.
Oh, my goodness.
Kobe
It's all
Bryant
about-
doesn't sound like that.
Absolutely nothing to do
All
with
about
it.
the brand.
They're not all going to sound the same.
I just think it would be nice if you didn't sound like a meathead. That's all I'm saying.
It's beyond the pale what you're doing.
I agree you shouldn't try to sound like a meathead if you're like the senator of Missouri. But he's a tight end. Like his job is to bash people.
He's acting. What don't you understand about this? I'm going to sound like a meathead and start screaming at you. He's got a WWF belt on his stomach, screaming, "Woo!" like this at
No,
the thing.
he was like
and
this.
he's hammered. He's drunk and being Ric Flair. Why is that a problem?
I don't know. I didn't like it, okay? I'm just telling you my
The only
feeling.
person in America who's got a problem with Travis
I know.
Kelce and loved the halftime
And I
show.
actually thought you would know him because he has a reality TV show too.
What show does he have?
I don't know. It was like a
50 women in 50 states.
The Bachelor,
dating
but
thing.
like
Gross.
all over the country. Don't you watch The
You
Bachelor?
are just a walking contradiction. That's what you are. You're over here just completely at tension within yourself.
I thought when you first started out, Travis Kelce, you were going to go down the cliche route of
What?
how good looking he is, and I mean he is sort of like the heartthrob of the NFL, right? I mean, he had a dating show.
I like Jason Kelce myself.
He's no Jim McMahon. Oh my goodness.
Do you have anything else on the other stuff side of this thing?
Well, I
today,
did want to
Carolyn?
talk a little bit about something one of my friends brought to my attention.
Okay.
And it's an owner of the Raiders.
Yes.
His name is Mark Davis.
Yes, Mark Davis.
I urge you all to Google him
It's-
and check out his hair.
Have you ever seen his father?
Yeah, my friend texted me that
So,
picture as
we're
well.
going away from the week that was, and we're going to, over the past 5 years, the thing that has been out there for
Yes.
quite a while.
What-
Mark Davis.
I am the
haircut.
chick who doesn't know about
Right,
sports. Why
clearly.
would I know who this person is?
Never been more demonstrable than today. Yes,
Not only is his hair ridiculous,
it's pretty egregious. Yeah,
he drives like a 1990 something
minivan. Yes,
and he has like a Nokia phone.
wears
and
a
he's-
fanny pack on
He's
the
like
regular.
a millionaire, billionaire. And here's
Yes.
my question: his wife is smoking.
Right.
Shocking.
Would you? I feel like I'd be, if I was about to go out with a billionaire and he rolled up in a caravan, Dodge Caravan.
Yeah.
I'd be like, no, this isn't happening.
I don't think you would. I think you'd be like, oh, a billionaire.
No.
Off
Roll
you
up in
go.
a Tesla like you're supposed to.
Oh my gosh.
I think.
But he's saving his money to buy you a Tesla.
I mean, well, then we can talk.
Honestly, if you're gonna, if we're rating a billionaire, I don't think he's actually a billionaire. I think he's a hundreds of
think it was
millions
500
millionaire.
million.
Okay, but in any case,
at what point does it even matter?
Well, you're right. It matters in the room of 32 guys when you're the low man on the totem
No,
pole
that's
in the
true.
decision-making process.
That's
But
definitely true.
I would say this, of people who are egregiously wealthy, of all the people who seem to have identified the things that I prioritize in life, I should love Mark Davis. Go ahead. Yeah, you got all the money in the world, but he's driving a minivan. That reminds me of me, except for the money bit.
Well, it's
I
funny
mean-
because I kind of think it's funny. But then I think if
think
you're
that's the
marrying a
point.
guy for money,
But I've also, here's the thing that I don't understand.
not that I would do that. I'm just saying.
Like, if you want to have that haircut, like, do your thing. You be Lloyd Christmas and you do it. But I think that he, has like a hair person that he goes to and spends quite a significant amount of money to do that, and that's the confusing part
he
to me.
drives to Palm Springs.
Is that right? Do
to
you
get his
know this?
haircut.
Did you receive?
Yeah,
did
I
you
had to do
research
some
this?
research on this fella
Okay.
because
Palm Springs. So
Yeah.
not the heart of cosmetology, Palm Springs, California.
No.
It's the
There might be no better example in America of the way that the world has changed than the glory and swagger and utmost reputation that Al Davis and the Raiders once had compared to what Al Davis became and his son is now and what the Raiders are now.
Which by
At one point the Raiders were playing, Super Bowl II. Packers versus Raiders.
Hey man, I think but I think the Raiders are on the come up. I mean,
They
they're
are,
moving
but
to
you know,
Vegas. They
you
got
know,
the new
you know
deal.
what I'm
They got
saying though.
Gruden.
You know what I'm saying though. Circa 1975, Al Davis sitting up there, just win, baby, wearing the leather jacket. John Madden's the
Yeah.
coach. You got multiple Super Bowl trophies. You got all the AFL trophies. And then by the end of his life, he was the absolute laughingstock of pro sports. And then handed off his franchise to his son, and they have been.
I don't think it was a laughingstock of pro sports.
Man, Al Davis towards the end was pretty bad. He had less clout than any other owner in the
Yeah.
NFL by quite a bit. He became senile. He was doing such bad roster moves.
But I mean, again,
it's
this
just
is
it's just crazy how you can fall from grace.
Well,
just because of time.
tell me about it.
time is the ultimate winner for all of us. We will all fall from grace,
except for Tom Brady.
Oh, he's already fallen.
Carolyn, this has been something today. Do you have more?
I was just gonna say, I in researching Mark Davis, I learned that the Raiders were moving to Vegas.
Yes.
This was news to me.
Oh,
That's
yep,
all.
They're moving.
I'm
to
breaking
Vegas.
it now.
What? Shocking, Carolyn. Thank you for filling us all in, giving everybody the update that the The Raiders are going to Vegas. They're going to play football on the Strip. I don't know what to do. Boys and girls, it's Tutel Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. What are you doing tomorrow? Anything? Here's an idea for you. Go to Lost Trail Powder Mountain, okay? Lost Trail Powder Mountain tomorrow. They are having their annual Ski Patrol fundraiser. That's right, Ski Patrol fundraiser all day. You go ride all day with your friends and family, and then you come on down, you have a steak dinner or a burger dinner. You got great live music that's going to be there as well from Dan Dubuque. And you can enter for a raffle, or you will be in a raffle if you're participating, for a 2020-2021 season pass all year for next season. So you go there, it's $20 for the steak dinner, $12 for the burgers. You can get tickets right now at losttrail.com, losttrail.com. But tomorrow, one of the very fun days in the year at Lost Trail Powder Mountain. You also go on right now on your phones and text the word powder to 31996. 31996 is the number. You text powder to that. You get powder alerts in your phone, and you will be entered to win a 5-day punch pass for this season. Go up there 5 times, so that's great. Again, powder to 31996. They got all kinds of great snow up there and a really fun day for the Lost Trail Ski Patrol. It's their annual fundraiser, steaks and burgers for the Ski Patrol. Get up there tomorrow. Have a great time.
Hi there, it's Les Schwab Alignment and Brakes and Shocks and Wheels and Tires. Some tire places don't offer all that, but we do to help keep you safe. It's our Les Schwab Founders Celebration. Get $50 off an alignment. That's nearly half off regular price when you purchase 4 Reputation or Open Range AT tires all month long. Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952. Limited time offer while supplies last. Cannot be combined with other offers. Details at leschwab.com.
There's a saying, opportunity never knocks twice. When you're ready to take advantage of your next opportunity, look to your local bank. Opportunity Bank of Montana. Opportunity Bank offers options for mortgage loans, small business loans, equipment financing, agriculture, and more. Our experienced team can provide solutions to help you welcome your next big opportunity. There's nothing like the feeling of progress. So let's get started today. Come see us at your local Opportunity Bank of Montana. OpportunityBank.com, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Have you been in an accident and have no idea what to do? I'm here with Catherine from the Advocates Injury Attorneys.
Unfortunately, people are injured in accidents every day, and dealing with the insurance company can add even more pain to an already bad situation. That is where hiring the advocates can help. Let us guide you through the process and take on the hassles for you so you can just focus on getting better.
If you've been injured in an accident, give the Advocates a call, 406-640-4444, or online at montanaadvocates.com. The Advocates are on your side. Hey, Gus, you ever heard of Magic Johnson?
Rings a bell.
One of the greatest basketball superstars of all time played for a man named Judd Heathcote at Michigan State. And guess what? Judd Heathcote started his career at the University of Montana.
Coulter, did you know that 2 former University of Montana head coaches have been head coaches in the NBA and 1 on Team USA?
Isn't that amazing?
And that's why we've created Grizz Greats, the Coaching Tree podcast. Get it wherever you get your podcast. Just search Grizz Greats.
It's a phenomenal and historic podcast series proudly presented by Blackfoot Communications and Berkshire Hathaway Real Estate. Gus, remember how scared you were to get a facial before you had one at Kindred Skin and Soul?
I'd had one before in Southeast Asia and didn't realize it was going to feel like getting hit in the face with a bat.
The experience downtown, though, was much better, right?
It didn't scar me emotionally or physically. It was pleasant and wonderful in every way.
Valentine's Day is coming up, gents, and we know you have not gotten your lady a present, so tune in to Tutel Nuanez over the next 2 weeks for your chance to win a $50 gift card at Kindred Skin and Soul, downtown Missoula.
Tutel Nuanez, 4 to 6 every weekday, ESPN Radio.
Your favorite place in the world besides Montana is Seattle, right, Gus?
That's right. The only thing I've been missing since I moved back to Montana, teriyaki on every street corner.
Well, if you want real Seattle-style teriyaki, you got to hit up Dobie's Teriyaki downtown. And if you need a reason to try it, Tutel Nuanez, we got you covered. We're going to be giving away free Dobie's Teriyaki every single day the first 2 weeks of February on Tutel Nuanez.
Does the philanthropy no end?
We are very good to our listeners. So tune in to Tutel Nuanez 4 to 6 every day, 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Tutel and Nuanez on 102.9 ESPN Radio for Missoula.
Welcome back, boys and girls, to Tell Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television. Happy Friday, happy weekend. If you missed anything in the show, listen on the podcast. It's available wherever you get your podcast. It's the To Tell Nuanez podcast. It is the greatest podcast. And it is there thanks to the Wingate by Wyndham Hotel and the Blackfoot Communications. Coulter, today, you heard the promo right there. We're hooking the people up. Valentine's Day is coming up. You need to do something nice for your significant other. Perhaps you just need to do something nice for yourself. We got you covered right here. $50 to Kindred Skin and Soul downtown.
Awesome place. We both got facials there. It was a very enjoyable experience.
Outstanding.
Dudes, we know you've been dragging your feet. You've not even thought about a Valentine's Day gift. This will be perfect for your significant other. Give us a call right now, 329-1899. You got a $50 gift card to Kindred Skin and Soul. Doesn't have to be for your girlfriend, boyfriend, significant other, whatever it might be.
But it's Valentine's Day.
So that's what we want you to do. We want you to give this to somebody or give it to yourself, whatever it might be. And even if you don't win this thing, this is a great idea. It's a great present. I guarantee you, your lady friend or your man friend, I mean, we're men. We enjoyed the heck out of it.
I would be happy to have that given to me.
So either way, go down to Kindred Skin and Soul. Jacqueline and the girls will help you out. Located right there on Front Street, downtown Missoula, Kindred Skin and Soul.
It's Friday. Everything that happened in this week, in 2 minutes right now.
I thought, man, this guy might score 50 and they're still going to lose.
Hello, Montana.
Guys just looked like deer in the headlights. There was really nothing going on.
There is no give to their take.
I think the ultimate frustration from basketball fans is when you literally can't get a stop.
I said that I would not be shocked if Montana State went ahead and won this basketball game. It wasn't long into the game, though. It was very clear that that wasn't going to happen.
In a sweet irony for the Grizzlies and a cruel irony for the Bobcats, the Grizzlies gave the Bobcats a taste of their own medicine in terms of what the Bobcats have done to the Grizzlies the last 3 years.
Travis DeCuire, he is the alpha dog. He is the tip of the spear, the whole program and everything else, and there is no question about that.
The rivalry in terms of the fanfare around it has taken a slight step back, and it's because the Grizz have won 18 out of 19 times.
There is no question. Head and shoulders, the most versatile player in the Big Sky Conference is Saeed Pritchett, and it's not close.
Nah, I'm not even going to go down that road.
Travis said, wait, did you come out of the game? And he said, yeah. He goes, I took you out? He goes, yeah. He goes, oh, I'm sorry.
You could just call it dumb.
Well, it's about time that we had our first ever NHL player come in here and talk to us a little bit.
My journey to the NHL, definitely unconventional. I played my first NHL game when I was 29. I grinded it out in the European leagues, kind of worked my way up all the way to Sweden. I persevered.
Derek Ryan joining us from the Calgary Flames.
For a hockey player, you always dream of playing hockey night in Canada, Saturday night in Canada. It's pretty fun.
Ted, in 1763, who was the great-grandfather of the man who would eventually lose Super Bowl V? I'm just kidding, Ted.
Okay. Maybe one of the two guys that were younger.
Good choice. Look at you.
Even Idaho, who was in last place, is more dangerous to me than Idaho State.
Yeah. Shante Lagan's joining us. He's the head coach of Eastern Washington.
When you got guys that could dribble, pass, and shoot in pretty much almost every position, it makes it pretty easy to coach. I always tell the guys, to be unpredictable, it's pretty hard to guard if you're unpredictable.
Todd Simon's got these guys playing their butts off on defense. They straight guard you.
We don't care.
You watch Southern Utah warm up.
Well, certainly undeniable the bodies.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You watch these guys warm up, you're like, excuse me?
That is a ticket to a bye.
Those guys were so physically impressive. I know the kid knows how to win.
I remember
a guy that can play safety in the Pac-12 should be able to play corner in the FCS.
This was an anomaly.
I just think that you can out-recruit yourself to death.
They're better than you, then you need to get better. I thought I was going to hate this. I thought that this was not going to be a good thing. Go get it done. Wonderful. Another 2-minute mashup to round out the week on a Friday. Nice work, David. Coulter, where you at? Feeling that?
Loving it. It was great. Good job, David. Very creative.
And you don't even have to listen to a week where you make a false prediction. You did, everything was good there.
I don't know. I mean, sometimes, well, not sometimes, all the time, I live outside my own mind.
David Market, put that in the next one. Boys and girls, have a great weekend. Enjoy it. We will see you on Monday. Look forward to that with everybody. We'll reload a bunch of giveaways next week. So join us then. To Tell Nuanez ESPN Radio.
Romance your Valentine at the Montana Club